KK ma'am.
Hey, hi, Mayuri.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Passion Talks with Kanchan Sonik, Season 2, Episode 6. I've been chasing KK ma'am for years now, and finally I got time, so I feel so good. This is a major achievement. If somebody asks, what did you achieve in September, I'll say a long pending, appointment. Thank you so much, KK ma'am, for taking time out. And I
You
see
can't say that, Kanchan. We have just done the WLP, so that's fine. But I still owe you. I owe you on the passion talks.
yeah, it's this. Yeah, I would mute everybody else. So when we talk about passion and when I'm chasing all the women, the list is long and there's so much to learn from everybody around the globe. But there's some people who move mountains and they smile as if they've done none. And I am here to talk to you about all that today. And I see a lot of women already joining. Hey, hi, Mayuri, Bhageshri, and Anuradha. Thank you for being here. KK ma'am, I can go with the introduction for years and it won't end with the journey you have been. I want to keep it very simple because I've learned that in the session behind that you are one who wants to go as simple as it has to. So I would say a passionate leader, a wonderful mom of twins, a great learner, and a leader who leads with impact. So whenever I talk about you, I always and always feel that I have seen a person who means every word she says. So thank you for being a lady that we look up to. Thank you for being a person who has added so much light in everybody's journey. So a lot of leaders, take the credit. I think you are the one who push people. Please do more. Please do more. And when it comes to credit, I have never seen you taking one. So thank you so much for being a leader that truly impacts a lot of women around. So when I talk about your journey, let's start from your childhood that you remember, KK ma'am. A lot of people think, everybody's born in golden spoon. Oh, wow, how lucky are they? The moment you say, right, a lot of people say, oh, very lucky she has been there. She did it all just because she has been lucky. So let's tell people that what luck is and how beautiful life is. So, KK ma'am, from your childhood, whatever you remember.
Yeah. First of all, Kanchan, thanks once again for this opportunity. I know I owe you a one, but I think it's really lovely, right? I think always to have a discussion with you because it brings in so many memories. And as I keep telling, a small drop that we can contribute to the ocean will go a long way. That's how I think I don't. While there are other things which come up in the way, but I think I always see that I find some time to really see, I really have this heart to heart discussion with you, Kanchan. Thanks once again. But coming back, right, I think what comes in my mind, when you ask um, um a childhood, right? I only remember one thing. I was a very. I became a female chauvinist pig. That's how I would say many times. That's why I was branded as well. And there's a reason behind, right? I think we are three siblings, all girls. So I only remember one thing very clearly in my mind, right? If I close my eyes, what used to come in front of me, right? A sort of anybody who used to come home, they used to sort of express sympathy towards my parents, and you just ask and say, three girls, as if something has the hell has broken loose. I really hated that. I used to think why exactly it is like, why do you people, as if you don't have a boy or you don't have a, something. I used to feel very, I used to hate that if somebody used to come home, right? I used to really wanted to go and really ask them, why do you say this so? But I know it was not easy. This is way back, 45 years back, which I'm speaking, right? Actually, where it was still uh, they used to feel girl is a liability. That is how so fresh in my mind, which whatever I am today, maybe that made me aggressive, that made me give a chance to say that that there is no there's no one more, right? It is you are this thing, you have to prove to the world that that you are not a liability. That's how I remember my childhood was not a easy one, but very very painful. But the good part is I still remember, my parents, my father was always very very strong, and was always with me, and used to say that, no, no, don't give anybody chance to say that you're a liability. And I remember well, because I think, at those years, right, I think a lot more changed now. But if you have a girl, they used to think, oh God, isko abhi shadi karwana hai. I mean, you need to make them marry. So much money. I mean, that's how parents were used to think, right? Oh, you have to put this much. So that's the reason it was a liability, right? Oh, you need to marry them off. You need to put so much gold. You need to do this. You need to build houses. I think that was so prominent in the society those days. I'll not forget about it, right? I think, but whereas my father was very very different. He said, all I want is, you have to be independent, right? You have to have your own job. That's all. I think that was a small seed that he's put in our minds. One more thing I remember very well, this was like, when we used to go for school, or we used to go for college and all, right? My mother used to, and I used to be an athlete at those days, and I used to go for um, uh, morning practice and all. My mother used to always wake up, what, she's going alone, why don't you accompany her? My father used to be like, why should I accompany her? She will learn it. Let her go. Let her figure it out. I think that was the independence I think my father gave, where you really go and you figure it out, right? It's like you put the baby into the swimming pool, you will learn swimming. I think that's how I learned. And that sort of strength and that inspiration, right, and that push my father gave, I think, I'll not forget all these days, because you go out, you figure it on your own. So that gave a lot of independence for me, and a freedom for me to think on my own and what I want to do. I think that's how I remember Kanchan, right? And I would urge, right? I think, always one key takeaway, right? And I keep telling to a lot of people, right? What happens is, when we bring up girls, right? We bring up, we teach them safety, we teach them all of that. I'm not denying that, right? As I said, right? But I think we should teach them a lot of courage. I think a lot of us do as well. But what I felt is, I think from that time to this time, right? I think I would say it's not only about teaching girls, but are we teaching our boys? Are we teaching our boys the compassion, the respect for women? I think that also we need to do. It's just that, when you really do that, I think the world will become equal. That's how, Kanchan, I know, a short question, but I think, you really took back a lot more in the memory lane. I'm just thinking, right, how my morning practice was, and what my father used to say. My mother used to wake him up, actually, and I used to still go on my own.
Wow. KK ma'am, I resonate so much, I think, is because I am the third girl child. And what my parents faced, right? Every time somebody would come, they will have suggestions which we never asked. The moment
Yeah.
my sister was in 12th, my relatives were looking for, a groom. And my mother is like, who asked you? We don't want to marry them. And my girls are not girls. They'll ensure that we are boys. And, I can feel that pain because they weren't, appreciated, and they were humiliated for raising girls as boys. We went to a convent school and we got all the best education, and they would say, oh, you're investing in a dead investment, you'll never get return on investment on what you're doing. And my mother was, we're just raising children, we're not investing.
Yeah.
And I could correlate every word. The trust my dad had, we went and did everything possible without being compromised. So I know where the strong roots are coming from. KK ma'am, when we talk about passion, I think when people ask me what you're passionate about, I can get up at 2 in the morning and have a mic and stage. I think I will not think before I do anything. How would you define passion and what kept you going? What is your definition of passion?
Yeah, so I keep telling this. Many of them asked me, right? I didn't know what kept me going, but as I said, I think I, as I said, from my childhood, right? I think it's just that you need to become independent, or you're not a liability. I think these are the two things which were there in the mind. Rest all came. I think once that had, right. I think, whether you had to, whether it was your studies, whether it was athletics, whether you are getting a free seat, because right, if you have to get the best, right, and you cannot afford that, you need to really work hard for that, right? But end of the day, right, I think as I put on more and all, you figure it out, right, what you like more or what you're passionate about, right? But I did not understand what am I passionate about, or till I went through this ikigai. I was in some workshop, and there was one session on this ikigai, right? Um, I had a question, right? What is, I would, I know you asked about passion, but I'm going toward the purpose, but why I'm linking them both, right? Actually, a little bit they're linked, actually, is what I feel personally. Why do you get up in the morning and do something, right? Why do you do, my husband used to ask, I used to work for an NGO, and he used to say, even on a Saturday, how do you get this energy morning? You want to get up and then go. I used to like, yeah, seriously, how do I get that? I really never used to think, right? Sometimes, and even there used to be, like, I used to work for EMRI. When it used to be like 50 kilometers away, but I used to take my car and then go drive so long. Used to say, don't you get tired of? My colleagues used to ask, why did you really take up this year? You should have not taken up this. But I think what I had something, right? I think is maybe that's where I'm linking it to Ikigai, and said there is something behind which you need to figure it out. Then I really figured it out. What was there, right? Whether it is addressing a fresher, or whether it's an addressing a women program, or there's addressing the three things which really were very very fundamental for me is same route, right? Where you really want no girl, right, or no woman for that matter, right, should be at any point of time think that am I less, or can I not do it, or if there is an opportunity that they should not give up. I think that's all. I think what happens is, right, then you want to stand up, right, and then you want to do, so that there are more people who feel that it is impossible. But then when a normal person like I or you do, they feel, hey, this is an easy task. If Kiki can do, I can also do. I think that something was always there in my mind, right? Actually, which I feel, connecting back to that passion, right? So for me, the passion was always, to really, you know, to prove that girls can do it. Maybe, I think it feels mundane now, so much, but still, that was there. But I'm not relating it to the world. For me, world means a small community, right, where I am there, my community, my neighborhood and all, right, where everybody thought, okay, oh yeah, they'll not. So that part gave it in me, saying that, oh, if she can do, then why can't we bring up our girls like that, right? If she can do this, why should we not impart, why should we not give that same support to our children as well? Like Kanchan, you said, right, like your father has put so much on your education. Same with me, right? I think at a stage where everybody thinks that you should get married off, but people stood by and said that, no, we'll make them, we'll give them the education, right? My father was very clear at that stage, right? I'll give them. So why I'm relating is that because of that, there was so much in my head, right, going on, right? I feel the ecosystem brings up, right, the system, while we bring up in the things. So we are brought up in the environment, but I think the ecosystem, right, or whatever we go through also changes our both our behaviors, our physical, they lot more gets into our building as we as a self, right? So that was the passion for me, right? At any point of time, right, I need to become independent. I need to stand up for my parents, right? I need to stand up for a small community or whatever we think. And after that, it was like, it was, which started for me as standing up for myself and standing up for my parents, my siblings, my sisters, and then a small community around my family, or my, a small neighborhood. Then you start working out, you're standing up for your team, then you're standing up for your organization, right? And then it goes beyond your society. I think that's how I feel I connected after the Ikigai session, right? I need to really go back and then roots into, why are you doing this? Why do you get up in the morning and do this? Oh, that was a great one. There are three versions, the three different ones actually of this Ikigai. No,
Absolutely. So
absolutely.
I can relate how you're saying that the inside journey helped you to go and look outside. What troubled you became a purpose that nobody else should go through that pain. How tough was your journey if you could ease somebody else's journey. And that turned out to be passion. Now let's take you back to your school and college. KK, what you remember of school and how was KK in school and college?
Oh, I used to go for a lot of competitions actually. Somehow it so happened I went for one competition and I got first prize. Then it was very coincidental, right? This was small essay competition, not even essay. This was a elocution. I used to do a lot of essay writing and elocution those days. They just asked me to come and speak. I spoke and I got the first prize, or some prize. I don't remember the first or second, but that really was like, then you have that, right? That once you win, it's very contagious, right? You want to win next. You want to win next, right? So I think I was very fortunate, where I had because I was doing this, and my father used to encourage wherever there used to be a competition in outside. I am from a railway school. There's not used to be much of it's a pretty government school, right? Actually, if you really know, there's not used to be much, but there used to be a lot of competitions around. My father used to look in the newspaper where the competition is going. He used to take me. So first I couldn't, I was just going, but I was not able to I was not able to do well. Then I really went to my English teacher at that time and said, I'm attending these. Can you help me out? She really became my mentor, right? And every time she used to give me tips. As it did, right? I think I remember very well in my mind. This was a uh, entire Hyderabad, right? In all schools competition, something, and they had many competitions, right? And you need to used to get some pointers. I still have that big trophy in my house, and this is in my ninth or 10th grade. I think I had it. I had won the gold medal. It's called Gold Spot Awards. Yes, I remember very well, and it was nowhere, right? When everybody used to think they used to be already people used to come, right? They used to know, oh, they used to get, and suddenly I was like coming as a winner, and I took the trophy that year. It was like somebody from a railway school coming up picking up. This is not St. Anne's, this is not St. Andrews, this is not some big English Anglo Indian or some other schools, which are really very very, or grammar schools which are very very high, and I mean they used to have very good reputation. But some corner, government or railway school coming up was a very different. And when I carried the trophy to my school, I just cannot believe, and it was in the assembly. More than me, my English teacher, her name is Mrs. Mills. She was so Rasavihari Mills, actually. She was so excited. She would have given 30 minutes speech, actually, and people came at the back of me and said, "Okay, forget about your trophy, yaar. We had to stand in the assembly for 30 minutes." I cannot forget that day. From there, there's no looking back. I was the school captain. And, I was definitely, I was there in the limelight, but I used to feel very good because people used to say that, if you put in that hard work, or you have that aspiration, you put your foot forward, right? I think I was there when anything was needed. I was there. I remember very well, because you told about school. This was in fifth class, okay? I don't remember anything, just fifth grade. That was my first out of home. They were just doing some bo- guide scouts and guides that was very famous in our schooling that days. Somebody said that there is that we will take you for a camp. I did not know anything. I just raised my hand and I went. My mother and father was like, "Why did you raise your hand?" I said, "I wanted to go out." For the first time, I was the youngest in the entire batch. But because I raised and they asked me some 2 3 questions, I answered well. I took out. But I remember that was so nightmare, because I went out of the camp. But within third day, my father came, because they couldn't see such a young, first time you're getting out of. I went in train. So when it came, I cried like hell, because it was my first outing. But after that, there was no looking back. I collected my president's award in the uh, scouts and guides. Actually, I received this award from the president that time. It was a very very, and that time it used to be crazy, right? And let me tell you this, in railways we are all told, or it's the it's a upbringing in the school, right? Oh, you need to do very well in sports or these and all, it will help you out, because end of the day you want to end up with a railway job. That's all. So I used to be doing zonal athletics actually. We used to have zones, central zone, south central zone, this zone, that zone. I used to do only with the motive saying that I will end up in athletics. And that athletics will help you some job in railways, because when you are there and you do go for zone also, I and my community or my neighborhood is all the same. Somebody used to be a basketball player, somebody used to be this, somebody used to be that, and they all had a job in railways. They had job, but they used to do, so that used to be like, oh, you do this, then you'll get some job. That's all. From that mentality, Kanchan, with that narrative, and I told this, right? What happened is, so there used to be an RRB exam which they opened up when I was just there. But by the time I came to 10th, it was almost picking up, right? I think engineering was very far dream, no doubt about it, right? But I wanted to do something different. I don't know what, but I definitely did not want to do a railway job. I was like, what? Why should I do this job? It's very so, but it was almost like, it's like a hereditary which comes, right? Everybody, they put you in training for RRB, they'll make you and you get job. All of my batchmates, I remember, all of my schoolmates, right? All of them ended up, if not at least the top 10% ended up in railway jobs. I was put for RRB exam, I was put for the training, but my luck, because you asked me, KK, what luck, right? I still cannot forget, I don't know, the intent or my prayers were so fierce. I think, I couldn't get I did not get an admission into sitting for the exam itself because I was an underage by
Oh,
just 1 to 2 months. Like my entire family was very upset. How come? Why don't we? Can we do anything? But it was already late, right? You already applied your certificates, everything are there, or from the schooling, you can't change anything. I was like, in the mind, so happy. Oh God, I don't need to take this railway job. But that changed a lot for me, Kanchan. Actually, I think had I not God, helped me that day, just being, maybe 2 months, 3 months underage, I would have not been, in the first engineer in my family to go and look outside. Actually, you know.
so KK, that is so wonderful to hear. I hail from Indore, and there in Mahu we have lot of people from railways. I have relatives who were in railway 2 generations, 3 generations, and they live a life where railway colony, railway grounds, competitions, classes, and everything regarding sports around. They live sports. They get up, they sleep with the conversation. So I know what you're talking, and I can deeply feel it. But after listening to your last sentence, right, I felt like Shah Rukh Khan's dialogue. When when you really want to happen, things like this would happen to make it happen. So great hearing that. How did you, get into engineering, and what was your 4 years there that shaped you to the leader you are today?
Yeah, engineering is also a very, very, very fun story. Once again, very big stories behind it, right? So for me, thing was because you couldn't get into things. It was not easy, right? While my father wanted to support, but those days, not it was not easy. My sister, immediate after me, my siblings, she had to get in. She got RRB and she joined, and after 2 plus, they get into job. So for me, so there is a little bit of pressure, right? Okay, oh, she'll get a job, what will happen to you? But what happened is, I took plus one plus two, once again same railway college. I went there, I joined, but something was not there. But as I said, my father was very, very fond of writing, getting me into any competition which is there, go right. So I got used to it. I think that come a little to me as well. So I was there. This is very, I'll still remember where I was sitting and I saw this ad. My grandfather was sick and I was in a hospital, and then I completed my 10th and I was just there and I saw a newspaper. Then there was an ad saying that this is a junior college where if we will give you the coaching, but if you really come and write the exam, and we'll waive off the fee. So I said, okay, what is there? I'll just go write an exam. So I wrote, and they picked up some 10 students for coaching into this is called APRJC. It's like that time it was very famous, Andhra Pradesh Residential Junior College. Well, they take you and then they'll coach you and then they'll put. I was lucky, I got into that. lucky me, once again, they gave me food, they gave me accommodation, they gave me everything. They just said, because right, and I was lucky enough, once again, same, I call it lucky, because how many people get through that newspaper that day, and then go and write the exam, and then
Destiny.
I went and wrote
Absolute
the
destiny.
exam. Then I
Yeah.
got through, because why I told is the coaching was important for me, right? Doing like any other thing was not. So I was almost like a state 10th ranker, got in. But then there is only one college. It's called Nimmakuru College. Actually, it's actually Chief Minister N.T. Ramarao's. In Andhra Pradesh, is very famous actor and a chief minister as well. So he has opened up that college actually, but it's a government-run college. But the only thing I know, it's only meant for intermediate plus one, plus two, but they're all toppers. They all used to get state rankers. That's how the college was known for. But
Wow.
it used to be a co-ed, but there is only very few seats. It's almost like every district gets one seat from the entire Hyderabad, or whatever I would say, every district. So I'll tell you, that was a very, very key seeding ground for me. It was not an easy journey for me, because it was like going back to village. I'm from Hyderabad, right? I know, I don't think so any Hyderabad would go, and, at that age, coming here and having this entire urban and going back to village and studying there was not an easy, but I had only one thing, and that was all free. Education was free, accommodation, food, everything. It is a residential, right? You put that there. But what I think it gave me, very important, is you had from every district, different cultures, different religions, different caste. It really had changed a lot into as me as a person. I really say that was a ground for me, where I thought, like, coming from from a city, getting into that and work and going through all of them, right? And how do you adjust in a hostel, right, with multiple mentalities and all? I think that really shaped me, once again, right, a lot more, from a flexibility, collaboration. How do you really team up, teamwork, all of that. I think from that age had put me that ground. But why I mentioned is,
Okay.
so why I mentioned this is, I think that part of small seed in my, and after that also, at that time, this Narayana and all were coming up just then, but was very expensive. But they used to take from our college and give free, once again, coaching for MSET and everything, right? Actually, so that was all good, right? For me, I did not used to feel very guilty, because my father need not spend anything for me. That was the only, if you really look at every time, right? Oh, I am doing my education free of
My
cost.
own.
My
Yeah.
father is not. I mean,
I
otherwise you need to go back, right? How do you do, right? You only get, so if you are able to get the premium education at free of cost, what else, right? Nobody's there to question you, all of that, right? So that, but what that gave me is, all of the people who were there used to get into IITs or NITs. That's how it was. That, so when I did my engineering, I got into, I couldn't get in the first year, what branch I needed and all, but I got into NIT Varangal actually. But that's once again a very sad story, because I asked my father, because NIT Varangal only top, few hundred ranks will get into. In fact, I remember my computer science, that branch, it almost closed at about 50 rank or 75 rank something. That's it. At that time, there's very few ranks. So I couldn't get, but I got civil. And I used to get in Kurukshetra somewhere, and but this was very near, right? And I was like, I did not wanted to do. Said that give me one more year, I'll get definitely good rank. So we were having this debate. Then there was a registrar beside. He heard the conversation and he told, "What are you having a debate?" I said, "Why are you fighting with your father?" I said, "No, I want to do." And my father was like, "There is a Usmania. There's a lot bigger universities nearby, right? Like State University, JNTU, which are very big universities." And I was getting computer science. So like, why are you not taking this? I said, no, I want to do NIT. Why? I said, it will be from all the states. So that in my mind it was there, right? You're still
So you were
young.
ready to risk a year, but
I was
not
ready to risk
good.
a year, and I was almost there. I wrote an exam, and they told that they will give a free. My father was enough of this, this free, that free, enough, because that time you do very good, right? They'll give you coaching. So they guaranteed. They came and they spoke and they said that every more, 1 year you give us, we will get you, ensure you that in a top 100 rank. That took me as well. I was almost enrolled. No fee at all. So that was a good part, right? Why do you need to worry, right? And that's how the competition was those days, right? You go write an exam, they evaluate you, and if you're there, they give you 90%, 98% to 100% waive off. So that was the good part. But what happened is, then my father was like, why do you want to lose 1 year? My sister
Is
almost was
already earning.
working,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
you just
Yeah,
imagine, right? It was a plus
correct.
two plus working. I was like, no, 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 give me 1 year, right? You're anyway not paying. Why I'm just stressing this much is, you see, then the registrar told, no, why are you worried? You join her. She's right. This is a very good college. This is better than Usmania, better than this. He said, oh, hostel fee, yes, sab rahega. Why all of this? And who, why should this is away? It's about 4 5 hours away, or maybe, from Hyderabad. But there is one college just behind. She can walk or go, and she's getting some branch. Why does she doesn't join? No, no, no. Then explain. But he said, see, there is one option. If she does well in the first year, she can get a branch change. Oh, I said, oh, this is good. Then that made me, oh, very good, yaar. Oh, acha hai, yaar. Oh, this I will go. So I took up that. But you see, that's where it started. Then I went and joined civil. Now, first is it's a civil. Okay. Then what happened is, how the first year is, right? You are like, you got a good college, and first year some amount of, I would want to say, but thoda idhar udhar ragging first year, friends was out of the family. Still I was used to hostel and all, but it used to be like you got into engineering, right? So I'm not saying that I did bad, but I did decent, right? I was not the top, but I was definitely, among the top 10 in the college in the first year, I would say. And we had an option for a branch change. But that year, computers did not even open up. Very, very sad, because it's almost like I'm telling 94, it was like nobody took any change. So generally, people leave to IITs or anything, the branches open up. But they were so already overfilled that did not even open up the branch. And it'll be surprising, I got any other branches, but I did not take. I said, if not computer science, why will I take? But why I mentioned this is, this started another sort of, right? I'll tell you another thing in the family. Now everybody used to come home. Anybody asked, oh, Civila, what? She will not get any job. Why did you make her? Then it started. 4 years were like, I would not say, or 3 years were like a torture, right? But it was right. My father was right. It was not easy to get a placement with a civil engineering. If you had a computers degree, everybody would sit in. But I was so crazy of computers, right? I would always go and sit in the computer lab, and I was very clear that I would do my computers. I mean, of course, I never thought of, though I thought like MS or something, but I know either my financial situation, or given my, things and all, it will not be feasible for me to take that much loan, and then I couldn't risk. That was too much. But why I mentioned this, I think that 3 years, right, for me, there was only one thing. I remember my hostel fee, 3,710 rupees, Kanchan. I'll not forget even today. You know, my only motivation was for myself, that my father should not ask, oh, already hostel fees, ye fee, wo fee. So I figured out, if you're on the top in the class, right, whichever, it doesn't matter. If you're on the top, they waive off your fee. That's all. मुझे कुछ भी नहीं पता. I used to be, I, I used to study that. I used to get that. But I used to be in all extracurricular activities. This club, that club, IST club, tech education club, hobby club, all of that I used to do. But for me, that was a no-go. Every semester, if you come top, they used to give you 50 rupees or 100 rupees, one small certificate, plus they used to waive off fee. For me, that was important. So I'll not forget, Kanchan, sometimes, right? So if anybody used to say, right, then it was almost became, right, if anybody used to say something, I wanted to prove them wrong. So I think that was another second stint which I'm mentioning, right? And that's how my journey happened, right? Every time, why do the people think like that, right? And why do they really do? You can't do it. But maybe that was my sort of learning that lesson. Otherwise, I would have been maybe not at this stage today. Kanchan.
Wow, lovely. So how did you finally enter into computers, Kate?
So yeah, so this is once again, right. I entered into Tata Consulting, actually, but that was Tata Consulting Engineering. So it was not, but I still took up in the Tata Consulting Engineers, but I was in Hyderabad at that time. I was completing my internship. It was about 1.5 year. It was a job like any other TCS, but this was in Begumpet. So this time I picked up here. The bad part was, I had this job in the hand. and my sister was already there. I had my MTech as well, but it was very sad situation. My heart said that I had to do that. It was in one of the top institutes actually, but I couldn't. Uh, uh, I couldn't. I will not say afford, but the risk, right? My sister was already studying, and when I looked at and said, "Oh, 18,000 fees. Oh God, this is very huge. I can't do." And everybody was like, "No, don't take any more risks. Enough of it, right? Why you want to go for any other thing? You already have a job in hand. It was 10,000 rupees, Kanchan. I remember very well, 7,500 plus they used to cut the internet that your 2 years of exactly right. They used to keep some amount actually, so they used to cut from that every month salary, and they used to keep. If you continue after 2 years, if you stay with the company, they give you back. You can't just believe, right? I was just 2 years. One day I was out of it. Why I'm just feeling this, I had at that time it was Satyam. They were looking for people, and this was almost like a 1+ year experience or sort of, right? They put an exam and then they took me. I came internally as a emerging technologies boot camp. So what they used to do is, you see how the luck ended, right? My college mates who were in Satyam, who went through, were all in a mainframes batch, but I joined into a emerging technologies, which was a dot. It was, I wouldn't call it .NET at that time. They ran only two camps. One was a Java and one was a Microsoft Technologies. So what they did is they published it across the India, and they picked up only 100 from a 1 year to 2 years. I will say, but it was a written test. Just imagine, right? In computers, going through that. I remember when I was my intern, I used to do my C++. I used to do my, separately in a course. So that helped me. Kanchan, those days, right? I really wanted to get up. And Satyam was a very big brand at that days. It was not easy, that I could crack that exam. And I was really placed, in Satyam, right? So I felt at that stage, right? I think I felt, oh God, at least now I ended up with what I need. After that, there was no looking back, Kanchan. I think
Okay, which year are we talking about this?
this is 2000.
Oh, wow. I was still in school and you did all this. Wow. When you said learning and not giving back, choosing about what I want was tough, but you didn't surrender. So what's the message you want to give today's generation who just surrender for any problem, right? They say, oh, this is not working. Oh, that is not working. And they have it all. They haven't seen the tough faces that we have seen, but we were resilient. How is this generation, giving up so easily? Any message for them, KK?
Yes, I think many of the college students, Kanchan, which I address, right? I keep telling them, right? I think it's about I don't want to compare our generation and this now, right? It's
Yeah.
very different, right? I think they have seen everything they know, but I want to say, don't give up. Don't give up easily. You know, put your hard work. Put your best of your efforts, and when the intent is right, it may take some time, but for me it would have taken years, but I think it will show up. But do you have the right intent? Do you have that energy, passion to really pursue what you want to do? I think when you have that, right, the ways will open up automatically. I strongly believe in, right? I know I would have gone and told so many people, right? It's not about, and I, after that, when I joined, right, and I keep telling this, right, it is not about, because there are a lot of people who come and ask, okay, oh, which course is better, this course is better, that is course. I really, I say, it doesn't matter. Whatever you do, I think, have your foundation strong. That's what it is. Because even in after I joined, it was not about, I picked up a Microsoft technology, but if the foundation was strong, I think the computer fundamentals were wrong, you can pick up anywhere, right? It doesn't matter. The technology is changing, right? These days also it changes. But if your fundamentals are strong and you are flexible, your attitude is right, and you are putting in the right amount of hard work and the smart work, right? Also, I think the ways will just open up, Kanchan. I think that's what I think we need to do. And have, be resilient, right? But have some patience as well. It's not easy. The competition is really fierce these days, no doubt. And not everybody has seen that competition like how we have seen those days, right? These days everybody just gets engineering. If you have to get into seat, there are many options for you, right? You can choose what you want. These days we had hardly any option for us. Math, science, I mean, if I did not have any choice, I would have gone into public services, right, or something like that. It was always a passion. But I think it was only told only math, science, and social. I think these are the three important subjects, right? These were your life. Otherwise, you will not be. But I think there are many. My suggestion is only don't give up, have patience, be resilient, and have that confidence, and put in the right intent, right, and put in the right efforts. Things will show up.
Great, great.
Nothing will go waste.
Thank you for sharing, those key messages. KK, from fighting for getting what you want, not choosing government job, not choosing stability, but risking over something unknown, but because your heart said so, and then finally, eventually ending up, and then starting in an IT company, not being a computer science engineer, from there to a senior vice president, years long journey, 2 decades plus. So, an engineer, that too a woman, was not appreciated, had very, very challenging lives. The moment you get your degree, they wanted you to marry. So, from that zone to a senior vice president, what were the challenges and how did you tackle them?
Yeah, I think same here, right? I think once I joined, right, everywhere there's a bit of, I would say, how do you still within that group, right? How do you really have that intent and all? So my first, always, sometimes the first step is important, is what I feel, right? Whether it is my schooling, whether it is my getting into the engineering and then getting into thing, it's the first step, right? Once you take the first step, then I think the steps are already laid for you. So when they joined, right, once again, it is our allied training. Those days, same, you had these batches, and it's almost like a 80-member team or something, right? But the projects, right, you have to, how do you get the best project, or how do you see that you are in the right one, right? It's not easy. So this is very funny. These are also incident actually, but so all of my batchmates were getting a project and all. I'll say I was not the top one, but I was also once again the top 5, top 10 and all. But I was giving some interviews, and then I was, so then somebody told there's a very excellent project, right? It's in .NET actually, and .com. It was not even .NET. It's a com. We used to call com. VB.com, the latest technologies and all, and a development project. Everybody has that, right? So I also went and gave the interview, but I never got a call. But some of my batchmates got a call. Like I was like, why did I not get a call? Why didn't I mean they all joined and started? I came to know maybe after 10 days. I was like, why is it so? I did not get a call. So I wanted to really go. So I went. This was in a different. This is in a Badur Palli. I don't know if somebody knows the campus. We all used to have where the today Mahindra University is there actually. So this is a. Then we had in the city we had our, So I came. I went and met the project manager. I would call actually. So and I asked,
You
why
just
did I
walked to
not?
the project manager just to check.
Yes, I just directly walked to the project manager. You just I'll come to that now. So I said I want to. So somebody took the interview. Then I said that day somehow they said that the project manager was there. It was then I said I want to speak to the project manager. So they said that I waited, and finally I met him. I said I gave the interview. I still did not get a call, but a lot of my friends here are already started working. Why did you not get? He was like little maybe shocked as well. Who is this girl coming and questioning me like that? I said, I agree, but then he just sort of brushed off saying that, yeah, I think so, but this is a very tough project actually. This needs a lot of hard work and a lot of night shifts and all of that, right? I was like, so what? I mean, he was like, what? I said, no, 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 this, we are very, he did not, I mean, he was not discriminating between women and all. He's saying that it's like almost it's class. I said, what made you think that I'm not ready for it? I said, why don't you want to give it a try? It was good. I
You
think I did not say
questioned
that I
him.
would do it.
You questioned the manager.
I I questioned and said, why don't you give a try? If you feel that I'm not able to put in that work, you can. I'm definitely open to look for another project. I think I mean it was such a, why I'm mentioning it is he would have mentioned after I joined, right, to so many people, right? He used to say, uh, that the KK, she questioned me after that. There's no looking back in that program. I joined that. Definitely it was a very very that project was really once again a very very foundational one, because we did a development for an insurance company. I think I joined as a team member. Within a year, I became a project manager. You can such a steep growth, and I don't know how it was, and I was handling. And the only reason you can't believe, Kanchan, that day is so this thing, right? I know I will not forget my first pat on the back. We were almost about 100, and I was chosen for the pat on the back. I would have cried like crazy. I would have danced like crazy because it was earned out of hard work. It was earned out of, the courage I stood up to really do, right? The program was very, we were building an entirely for insurance, entirely portal. Those days, just imagine end to end digitization. We, after 10 years, I still spoke of digital transformation. That was a truly digital transformation for me, because everything, there was no documents, everything we were automating, quotation, everything, right? Now you see ICICI Bank, right? I'm telling 2000, right? Those days, right? But it was such a big learning for me. I think thanks to my manager at that time, he's a very good friend of me, not in the same company. After that, I became his peer, and it was not easy, but I always had, they used to really look upon me. That was never, uh, um, I would love, right, such opportunity, right, with all of that came, and I utilize that opportunity to the best, actually. If they had any problem, I used to complete my work, and then I used to stand up and then help my other friends and all. So it became so, we and those friends are my one of my best friends even. So we are connected on a WhatsApp group, and we use that project name, as our thing, because that age we made that friendship, right? All of them are in US, none of them are here, right? But after that, it was no looking back, right? I think I was known to the head, I was known to the business unit head, all of them at that stage, right? So young in the journey. I think I only remember one thing, when if people used to think that they used to come to me for technical expertise, but there is something also, which is, if they needed something, I was always there to stand up and to deliver to the timelines. I think that was something that was also differentiating for me. I never, I still remember, uh, we spent 36 hours in the office, not going home. And, I stayed back, and I know I had one of my friend also along with me who stayed back there, you know, 3 continuous nights. We did not even go back till we went live on that project. It was a very touching, some module was going live, and that was the spirit that day. I'm not encouraging that hard work, but that was the spirit, right? That we have to do it. I think that my friends and I think that project has really cultivated in me. Kanchan, not giving up.
Oh, wow. So people say, right, ask space on the table. You ask the project manager why. And eventually we see, asking the right questions and right time and helping and mentoring people around. Now, my question today to you, KK, is how do you see the role of women leaders evolving in the tech industry today? Where you've seen a transition of, IT coming in India, you've seen engineering, you've seen transformations from passbook banking to internet, you have witnessed it all. So how do you see the roles of women leaders in the tech industry are evolving today?
No, absolutely. First of all, I feel, this is the right uh, um, time, right? I think for, from both the tech aspect and on the woman join Satyam, I would say I really enjoyed, right? I think it was always opportunities equal for if you had a talent. I never even felt that, that there was a sort of any discrimination or anything that I knew. What history I had, right? I think after that, once I joined, I think the corporate world, I would say I really thank, right? The managers, the men, everybody, right? All what mattered was your talent, your expertise. I think it did one. And I want to mention this, right? I did PMP maybe, in the first 5 years of it, right? I remember very well. Somebody asked me that, right? What struck me in well, right? There are many sort of powers as you go, because I became a project manager at a very young age. And at that age, I was handling, there are many my project members who were highly experienced than me. But how do you handle? That was not easy, but I learned the experience, right? It was very, very different for me. Initially, I also did not know how do I handle, right? I was very young and handling that. But what was there with me was the expertise. I knew the project in and out. So if I had known everything and I knew that, that was my strength. So when you know it, everybody will definitely be, will be behaving very well with you, right? Nobody would uh, uh, definitely take a chance with you, right? Because forget about anything, right? It's not the age, it's not the gender, it's not anything else. What mattered was, do you really have a control on the project? Do you really know what's happening in the project? Right? So that was a say I of my, and I'm calling it expert park Kanchan, right? Coming back to your question, right? And I want to mention this, right? It's about women stars, right? I want to say few things. You know, once again, right, we are very, very fortunate enough to be part of the corporate world and companies like Mahindra, where where we there's equal, and we are, you know, policies by this thing, intentionally we are diverse, right? Where we really encourage and we really want to encourage the talent on women, right? We did the women leadership program, right? But definitely an equal opportunity employer, right? But and there is a focus on initiatives for hiring, retaining, and all. But what does it mean? Why do we still have this women leadership? Why are we still discussing even with there's so much of opportunities, right? And I want to say few things, right? I think there is still a gap, right? There is still that, why are the women not decision makers? What will get you there, and how can you be on the top? I think once again, I'm very happy to say that even Tech Mahindra, I think our top leadership consists of about 10%, right? Kanchan, you are pretty much in this office, right? I equally am. I Pallavi, Trupti, there's many more equal leaders, right? Vrinda, many leaders, correct? Actually, you're seeing that there's a good amount of leadership as well, which is coming. But what does it, we need to do, right? What is it that we can, that change is needed? Lot of things we feel that it's a policy change, give this and all. I strongly feel, I think it is about a behavioral change, right? I think, what is it that we want to be, right? I think, a is that there's a gap. I was calling that gap, right? That gap is about a confidence gap, but it's a little monotonous word, little abused, so I'm not using that word. But I think the confidence gap exists in different ways to different people, in you know in a very different views, right? But I still feel there is a confidence gap at at every level. It is very different for everybody. So what we need to do, the second is, there is this entire unconscious bias, right? And this entire stereotypes. I think, whatever you call it, Kanchan, I have also gone through, because somewhere it's not a conscious bias, please. It's an unconscious bias that, which I think we need to start dealing with it. The only best way is be aware of that there will be unconscious bias, and how do you really identify them, and how do you really deploy your strategies, right, to overcome these. I think that is what I will say. But owning them and challenging these assumptions, and like you asked me, right? I said why. I think it's very important that we start questioning is why I can't be there, why I can't deserve that, why I can't do this job. I think it's important, right? Very, very important. I think, it will really start changing a lot of narrative for the women leadership, right? The other important aspect, right? I think I'll only take it from my own um, uh, um, story, right, or the way I brought up, right? I think it's all about, this conditioning, right? What we brought in, correct? Actually, I think it will take some time, but I think, because you have gone through a lot of this conditioning, but I still feel a lot have been lost. I think it's a very equal world, but you need to start taking the small steps. I said the first steps. I think you take small steps, start doing one by one difficult task every day. I think that will start giving you the way. It is like action boosts the confidence, right? And which in turn inspires more action and creates positive cycles of growth. So I just want to say that the first small steps and taking small steps is very, very important, right? And believe in yourself, believe in your ability to succeed as leaders, right? The second one, right? Kanchan, why I'm mentioning is a very important topic. Many women ask, right? Do you take that opportunity and stand out? It is, we always think that it should come to us. No, you must be so good that they have to give it to you. Think about that, right? You must be so good. Think that how can I become that person? So be that person that others can count on you when it comes to delivering results. You assume the responsibility and be the self-directed, right? And do not wait for someone to give you the directions. And be that someone who can be absolutely be trusted. I think I would say these are my few things, right? For a woman leadership to really go back and take when you're working the same and take that leadership. I think these three, you know, taking small steps, ownership, and ensuring that credibility, right? And that ownership, if you take, right, and giving that, right, and how can others count on you? Can you be that good that where people come and give you that? I think these are the things. There are many other things, Kanchan. I mean, I would want to say, but I would say these are few important aspects I want to mention actually.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, KK. Means a lot. A lot of people think that miracles will happen without starting learning and doing anything. So I don't think there is any miracle until you put in your skin in the game and know what to do and how. So thank you so much on that. KK, that ignites me to my PhD question to you. I felt it. I've been to boardrooms, have seen lesser count or being the minority in that room, and that bothered me. And that led me to my PhD when I'm finding the challenges women diversity faces to reach executive leadership in IT industry in India. So what are the key, maybe three, four challenges you think that there are less women in the boardroom?
Right. So
Yeah.
I touched base, right? Content few things, right? I think A is confidence gap, and B there is a guilt, right? Many of the women go through that guilt, right? I think we see there is a definitely a gap in the society, right? I think while it has become very as I said, most there's very fair opportunities for women. I think there's a lot more, very very the world which has, have come very far, right? I think whether you take it your parents, caregiving, a lot of things, but there's still a gap in the child care. I still feel that's where, when women become pregnant, then you're a mother, then there's a lot more runs in your mind, right? How do you really balance all of that? And then there is a guilt. That's where I think is, while I said a confidence gap, then there is a guilt, then there is so much of your responsibility of caregiving. Then there's a lot of trade-offs to be done, right? So I think there is no magic wand. We would have all heard this from our Indra Nuyiris and many women leaders, right? There will be pain, there will be collaborative damage, but never give up. There will be guilt. I don't think so there's any successful woman who have said, I never had a guilt, or I had a perfect balance of life. Absolutely not, right? There will be this. Second one, right? I think I want to mention, right? I think it's also why I mentioned is with the guilt, right? As we go through, there's so much for us to balance, right? I think we miss that investing in ourselves, right? Whether it is unlearning, learning, relearning, right? I think we're very busy, right? Working for family, organization, but we ignore ourselves. When I say self is both, from a health perspective, from our learning perspective, and our entire mental wellness perspective, right? I would want to say, I think that's a second challenge that we need to identify, and we invest in ourselves, right? In your learning, continuous learning, right? So we have to retrospect, reflect very, very in a periodical basis and improve upon it. So, and develop the skills which will bring in a different perspectives. I think that's very, very important. And I want to say one more thing, right? Risk taking. If you take the risk, the higher are the things, the chances that the outcomes will also be higher, right? But a lot of them shy away, right? Because we feel that what will happen if I take that risk, right? I think come out of your comfort zone, take that. It's only a lesson you learn. You may succeed, you may fail, but at least it would have left you a lesson for you of what to do and what not to do, so that you can take those lessons and implement into the next steps. But unless you take that first step, unless you take that risk, unless you invest in your learning, right, and stand up for yourself, I don't think so. You can expect that that leaders are going to be there, right? And the last one is, identify, right, what are your strengths and work on them. I think uh, nobody is going to tell you, right? Women are already leaders, incredible leaders, I'm telling you, right? I think it's just that we need to get women, all of us, to believe and the society to believe in us, right? And that can only happen
When we start
starting
believing
with us.
that.
That's
Absolutely, absolutely. Kiki ma'am, you touched the mother guilt, and a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm raising a child." I just wanted everybody to know that you raised twins, and you raised your career as well, and you raised as a person. You have risen as a better human, a better mother. How did you handle twins? And a lot of people say, "Oh, I've been a mother of one. I'm upside down. My world has changed." Handling twins, and at the same time, with all of us, motherhood and career go parallel. It's not that I handle one situation and I can leave the other. So it's not that I can only be a mother and not, if you are a good mother, then you are suffering as a, colleague. A lot of people say, "Oh, she is so bad as a mother, right? She's going to office." When you go to office, they'll say, "Oh, doesn't take care of the children. She's so workaholic, doesn't want to believe and enjoy motherhood." So it's two sides of the coin. You have to deal with it. How did you handle twins and the guilt and the body that goes through changes and whatnot? Motherhood changes as its version 2.0 of all of us once we become mother. How did you handle twins and the career?
Yeah. No, I think it's a great question, right? I think when with my twins, right, I was also at the crossroads, right? I was almost like, okay, I think I'll give up, right? It's not easy. I want to, it's once again that guilt, right? And all of that running, oh, first of all, then, how do you take care of that? And it's very, I think I remember I called up one of my friend, I think I will not forget. Her name is Baduri. And I was like, Madhuri, I'm just thinking, it was very tough day, and I was like, oh God, I can't do it anymore, right? Rushing back to the kids, and she said only one word. She said, "KK, you remember? I just want to tell the children of the working woman are very independent, and it's all about your expectations." Right? You said the expectations they learn it. Kanchan, it's so true. I used to, when she told it, right? I think that word, right? You remember independent, I'll connect in my childhood, right? That gave me so much, yeah, they have to be independent, right? Actually, why do you want to make them dependent? And, that really made me go. But what I did, right? I used to run two nannies. You'll not, and people used to joke, that, she used to work for an outsourcing company. She outsourced everything. So I used to have a cook, I used to have a maid, I used to have two nannies from morning 9 to 2 and 2 to 9. The same two shifts, right? Two. Because, what I wanted is that, that part of, right, by the time you get home, obviously, right, I think at that stage, even it was not like a 9 to 5 job. Let me admit, Kanchan, it was not at all like that. Where, well, I said that I'll quit it because I may not be able to take up that, that role, that responsibilities and all, right? But when I had this all in place, right? The entire thing, right? You need to shout out, or you need to stand up and take the people, the support of the ecosystem, right? I think you need to leverage that very well. If you don't do it, right, and you think that you want to do everything by yourself, it will never happen. We keep telling, right? You delegate the task here, you figure it out, right? When you're running like a team, I think I literally use my PMP principle, right? People, process, tools, everything, right? And and that's why, right, people used to joke, five so many. It used to be like we were four, but we had four maids, or six maids working. But why I told is that support system is very important. It's just that we hesitate. We think, oh, it is, what will happen? The kid will not have the same love for what. Absolutely not, Kanchan. My kids are teens. I think they really have more respect, right? Even today for me, because they know that I'm an independent woman, and I was able to bring it up, and I used to really love, you know, they're so, they know the expectation, right? I want to use the word second, the independent and expectation. By the time 9 o'clock, they know 9 o'clock they used to be hanging to the grills, right, waiting when when their mom will come. It used to be so sweet, actually, right? But that, right, when you're doing it, it's not going to be easy. But expectation, right? They know that their mother will go out, they will come, she will come back for you, there. And then you start planning better. Then what you do is you start planning for a quality time rather than quantity time, right? Then you really plan better, right? You'll start planning, oh, I have this off, I have this meeting, how do I plan. I think you only become better at it, Kanchan. It's just that if you have to, you know that you need to have this journey and you don't want to give up, right? And then you want to continue the journey. But that doesn't mean that, there are there are equal opportunities there where I encourage, right? It's not, I was lucky enough, right? I had my support from my in-laws, my husband, my parents, everybody was there around me, right, to take care of it. But I know a lot of women doesn't have that, and it is okay to take a break, right? That 1 year, 2 years where you want to give the best, but come back. My suggestion is, if you really want to do, start up anything, right? You want to start anything of your own. But what is it, right? You asked me, right? Passion. What is it that want? Rather than passion, I'll say, what would make you happy, right? I used to have a lot of people, right? People, they take a break, but they'll not be able to come back and they're very unhappy, right? And there are people who come back and they're unhappy at the work as well because they. So I used to think, what makes you happy? Think about it. It cannot be like you are at the home, but you're always thinking of office, but you're at office and thinking of home. So you really need to take care of the ecosystem around you. Your mother-in-law, your maid, they are your best buddies. When you are really doing this journey, right? Your friends, be shameless. it, I think we have that, right? Oh, what will they think? No, I think if a woman stand up and says that I need that support, right? Or anybody for that matter, I think there are hundred other women or there are hundred other men who stand up for you. It's just that we hesitate, right? And similar one, Kanchan, I want to mention, right? Even in a project, even in a program, when you go through, right? I think we ran this program called maternity assistance program, right? Where we gave buddies, because equally we want, we understand that you go through a journey. We want our buddies to be there in that entire path, where when you are going through your pregnancy, or in fact, the toddlers, right? You want some buddies to share your experiences with, get a comfort, right? Actually, just sometimes just a this is a shoulder, right, where you want to share, and then you feel good. Oh, everybody went through the same journey. But why I'm mentioning is this very important, Kanchan, actually. I think, while along with the guilt, along with the responsibilities, but what is it that you want to do? Right? That 1 year, 2 years, you want to take a break, perfect. But how do you really to come back? And how do you invest in the learning when you're coming back? Right? Because we feel many of the women, what we feel we give up also is sometimes, kids have started going to school, but there's a fear of, oh, by the time I come back, it's a very different. My peers have gone to a different level. Will I be able to cope up? I don't think so. We are in such an industry, right? I think every 6 months or every 3 months there's a new technology which is coming up. There's a continuous learning which is needed. It's just that I think, are we prepared to invest in ourselves and learn it? Even somebody who's continuing also have to invest in the learning. So why do mothers fear? I think my key takeaways for myself and others is, I think, if you have to do, right, first of all, don't think about it. It's a small amount for me at that time. Running 2 runs was not easy, right? But I said I will do it, right? And I think there will be guilt, but are you prepared for it? See, are you leveraging your ecosystem when you need it? Don't feel that what will happen. Will I lose my quality time, or will I lose the love of my child and all? I think you figure it out. Yeah, where there's a will, there is a way. I think there are many ways out. You'll figure out the best for your child. I think we just need to, if you definitely want to be there, I think there will be trade offs. There will be collateral damage. Be prepared for it. I think the moment you get prepared, I think that it is not going to be like a very sweet 9 to 5 job. It will be like sacrifices, it will be troubles, but that's how the journey is. I think we'll go through the journey and we'll be successful. That's all, Kanchan. I think that preparedness is all we need.
Thanks, KK. A lot of people say it takes a community to raise children. You can't raise them alone. And life and motherhood never came with SOPs. So everybody had their own pieces of learning. I never thought that, a person who doesn't let me sleep for nearly 2 to 3 years, my child, and I still get up and say, I love you. I said, how did this happen? You have taken away my sleep, you have taken away my peace, and I still love you the most. And I think that's what we we all go through in our motherhood journey. Thank you so very well put across, KK. You shared it so well. I remember every time I used to get something in office, maybe a certificate or an award, and I'll give it to my, the caretaker at home. So she was there for 10 years and she raised the children with so much of love that if I'm in the room and my children fall down, they'll go to nanny and not me. And I used to be happy and not jealous. I said, this is what we really need. A lot of people will say, how do you live with
Yeah.
her? I said, you see the way she takes care. And it's about how do you ask for help? We are not God, we are not superwomen. Let's accept the fact that we are humans. And it is so true if we share that. If you have to summarize your life's passion in just 3 words, what would those 3 words be, KK? Just 3 words.
Um, standing up for self,
Okay.
and then the will,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would say not giving up.
Wow. Oh, very, very nice. Kiki, you've seen the world from a child to raising two. You've seen the world without technology, then computers came, and then AI. What kept you going? How did you sail through
Um,
all those changes?
I think I made Kanchan, definitely a learning was always part of my thing, right? It's like uh, uh, whether because you face your customers, the questions can come from any angle, right? It's not just about a company, about a project, about an organization that could come suddenly when you start. It could be lunch discussion, right? This could be all about something which is happening in the industry, right? So it's very important, right? As women, you know start climbing up the ladders as well, right? How do you upgrade yourself in not just in a tech alone, but how do you keep yourself pace with what's happening in the industry, what's happening in the society, what's happening in general as well, right? What's happening, is very, very important, right? Coming back, right, I think for me, what was important is, I don't want to say, legacy is a very big word, but I think somebody asked me this question. I started thinking about, I still have to frame what exactly it is, but for myself, what is a legacy? But I think, how do you contribute meaningful, to the customers, right? Or where do we do when I come to the work, right? How do you contribute meaningful in the family or to the society? A small amount of impact, right, that you want to create. I think that was a very, very big thing for me always to think about it, right? Which always helped me go one step, beyond, right, or what you would have not thought of, right, to create that minor impact, right, which will go a long way. I think that I would say that was one aspect of it for me, which stayed with me always, right? I always had the intent, right? And Kanchan, I don't know if I told you this, right? But you know, there were things when people can ask for you, and then you are ready, right? And your hands up and say that yes, I'm ready, to really take this risk, or ready to venture into it and figure it out, right? Because unless you really take that step and really see, you don't even know what is on the other side. You'll only keep thinking, oh yeah, that would have been a risky journey, or no, I may not be good. Of course, you need to balance it out and then think about whether you're good or bad, or whether you want to take it. But I think you have to put your step out. I think that was one other aspect of it. Me, Kanchan, to put a step out, to venture out, and not worried if it fails. Yes, there have been failures, right? No doubt about it, right? But I think maybe that has given a lesson also in one way, to say that, or to improvise you better. That's what I would say. You know, uh, Stick your hand out, be at the table, use the opportunity to voice out. And there are opportunities all around, that you should just know that there are opportunities, and then take that and go with it. I think that's what I would say, Kanchan, for me, which always stuck with me, right? In order to be there always, right? And when you're there, I think people will see your intent, people will see your expertise, and you will be offered that opportunity. Then you need to know whether I can take it or not.
Wow. I wish I could have an entire day with you. And like you said, lunch over discussions, I can never, forget the moment I was there with the boardroom. And, the moment I got to know you were coming, I had a list of questions and I was just eyeing, I hope she doesn't sit with the, customers. I want her time. And I still remember when I walked into you saying, hey, KK ma'am, I'm Kanchan. And you're like, yeah, I know. And I was like, okay, with all that she does, she knows the people around. So thank you so much for leading with that impact. And yes, indeed, you are an influential motivator, inspirational leader that we look up to. As you said, learning, right? I always mention that learning and leadership are indispensable. The moment the leader drops the learning hat, he or she is no more a leader. So just to end up the passion talks, let me do a quick wrap. You will not have even have 30 seconds to think, Krishna, KK ma'am. Just go with whatever comes to your mind, okay? It would be rapid 10 questions. Drop of the hat, just speak whatever comes to your heart. Okay? Yeah.
Sure.
So if KK is on travel, mountains or beaches?
So you have to repeat it, Kanchan. I
Okay.
broke
Yeah.
up.
So if KK is traveling, would it be mountains or beaches? What would you prefer?
Mountains.
Okay. If you have to play a game, online or on the ground?
On the ground.
Okay. If you want to read a book, Kindle or a hand printed?
Hand printed.
Okay. You want to go shopping online or street shopping?
Street shopping.
Okay. With the boys, you want to play cricket or PUBG?
I would want to play cricket.
Okay. Handmade coffee over machine or machine over handmade?
Handmade coffee. Always.
Okay. If KK is in kitchen, what are people expecting?
To make samosas.
Okay. If the boys have to cook something for you, what would you wish?
Mm, I don't know, but yeah, maybe Pongal.
Okay. Uh, Festivals at home or you prefer traveling?
Oh yeah, I used it changed. Right? It used to be traveling earlier, but now it's a festivals at home. Yeah.
Okay. Gadgets over books or books over gadgets?
Mm, books.
Okay. And if KK has to publish a book, what would be the title of the book?
I've not thought about it, Kanchan. Seriously, I don't know. I've never thought about it. I'm not that great in that. But yeah, I think some maybe my lessons, is what I would want to contribute it. That's it.
Wow. Thank you so much, KK. It has been an honor and privilege to have you on Passion Talks. And passionate leaders like you bring the passionate leaders coming in the future generations. Thank you so much for what you do through your NGOs, through your sessions, through sessions at work and sessions all around. Thank you for sharing your journey so candidly, talking about your past, talking about your learnings. It makes us feel that no, it's I'm not the only one. And if she could do it, so can we. So thank you so much. Looking forward to hearing you, meeting you, and learning for you for life. Thank you so much. Have a lovely, lovely day.
Thank you, Kanchan, and all the wonderful ladies. I think it's really my pleasure as well, to be with you guys today and sharing, and you took a lot back me into my memory lane, childhood, college, it's so fresh in my mind now. Thank you, Kanchan, once again.
Thank you, everyone. Looking forward to next episode with
Thank you. All the best.
leader. Thank you so much.